My parents told my kids they're not invited to the family vacation. All expenses paid trip to Europe I'd been funding. My son asked, "Are we not family?" Dad said, "You're just different." I didn't argue. I just canceled the $67,000 travel package I'd booked and sent them a screenshot of the cancellation with a message, "You're right. We are different. We don't need your approval." Peas? The villa you're staying at? I own it. Check your booking confirmation. And it was 6:41 p.m. in my parents' dining room in Cleveland, and the smell of pot roast was so thick it clung to my uniform. I'd come straight from shift, still had the radio imprint on my shoulder from where the straps sat, still had the winter air in my hair, still had that low, buzzing exhaustion cops get when they've talked 3 different people down from 3 different edges in the same day. My mom had the table set like it was a magazine spread. Linen napkins, candles, her special plates nobody was allowed to touch when I was a kid. My son, Noah, was in the doorway behind me, holding my hand like he wasn't sure where to put himself. He was 9, old enough to read a room. My daughter, Ellie, hovered at my wife's knee, clutching a stuffed fox she'd outgrown but refused to abandon. My wife, Maya, gave me a look that said, "Be careful. Don't let this turn into a scene." I wasn't planning a scene. I was planning to eat dinner, smile politely, and maybe, just maybe, hear the words "thank you" for the fact that I'd been paying for the trip my parents had been bragging about for months. The family vacation. Europe. All expenses paid. They'd been telling relatives, neighbors, church friends, like it had fallen out of the sky and landed in their laps. They'd never said my name. My dad was already seated. He wore his vacation face, relaxed, important, pleased with himself. His phone sat beside his plate like an extra utensil. My sister Claire sat across from him, glowing like she was the one who'd earned all of it. Perfect hair, perfect nails, a blouse that probably cost more than my first patrol boots. And then my mom smiled at Noah and Ellie the way people smile at kids in a grocery store aisle. Polite, distant, quickly done. "Kids," she said brisk, "you can go play in the living room. The adults need to talk." Noah didn't move. He just looked at the table, at the place settings, at the way there were exactly 4, not 6. My chest tightened, but I kept my voice even. "What's going on?" I asked. My mom took a sip of wine like she needed something to wash the moment down. "We're finalizing details," she said. "For the trip." I nodded, slow. "Great," I said. "I sent the itinerary last week. My dad didn't look up from his phone. Claire did, though." She smiled like she was watching a show. Then my mom said it, softly, like it was nothing. "Adam, the kids aren't invited." For a second I thought I misheard her, like my brain refused to accept the sentence as real. Maya's hand tightened on Ellie's shoulder. Noah stared at my mom, his eyebrows pinched together in that way kids do when they're trying to understand adult cruelty in real time. I kept my face still. "Not invited," I repeated. My mom's smile wobbled, but she held it. "It's not personal," she said. "It's just, this is a family vacation." Noah's voice cut through the room, small, steady, clear. "Are we not family?" The question didn't sound dramatic. It sounded honest, like a kid asking why the sky is blue. My dad finally looked up. He didn't look at me first. He looked at Noah like Noah was a problem that had wandered inside. Then he said, "You're just different." He paused on the word like he was choosing it carefully, like it was kinder than the word he wanted. Different. Not bad. Not unwanted. Just different. Noah's hand slipped out of mine. Not because he meant to, because his body went still. Ellie pressed her fox to her chest harder. I felt something shift in me. Not anger, not heat. A quiet, cold click. My mom hurried on, trying to cover it. "It's a long trip," she said. "Lots of moving around, museums, wine tastings, late dinners. It's not really kid-friendly?" Maya asked, voice flat. Claire gave a little laugh, the kind that's supposed to sound light. "We just want it to be relaxing," she said. For once, like my kids were the reason my parents' lives had been hard. I looked at the table again. at the foreplay settings, at the candles, at the way my mom had staged this like a normal conversation. Then my dad leaned back in his chair and did the thing he always did when he thought he had authority over me. He sighed. "Adam," he said, "you know how your job is. You're around a lot. Intense stuff. The kids pick up on it. They're loud. They're wired." My jaw clenched. My job. The job that paid for the villa my dad was about to sleep in. The job that bought the flights. The job that booked the trains. The job that had me working overtime while Claire posted brunch photos and called herself a creative. Noah swallowed hard. He tried again, quieter. "So, Grandma doesn't want us there?" My mom's eyes flicked away. "It's not like that," she said, too fast. "Don't make it like that." My dad's tone sharpened. "This isn't a debate," he said. "The adults are going. That's decided." I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even sit down. I just reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and unlocked it with my thumb. Maya watched me, confused. Then she saw the screen and her face changed. Not to fear, to recognition. She knew that look, the done look. My dad noticed the phone and scoffed. "Don't be dramatic," he said. I didn't respond. I opened the travel app, the one with the confirmation number I knew by heart because I'd stared at it too many nights wondering why I was doing this. Then I hit cancel. A small loading wheel spun. My thumb didn't shake. A message popped up, "Cancellation confirmed. Refund initiated. $67,000.00." I took a screenshot. The sound was tiny. A little shutter click in a room full of heavy breathing. My mom blinked. Claire's smile faltered. My dad leaned forward, frowning like he was trying to focus. "What did you just do?" he asked. I sent the screenshot to the family group chat. Then I typed one message beneath it. "You're right. We are different. We don't need your approval. P.S. The villa you're staying at? I own it. Check your booking confirmation." And I hit send. And that was the moment something in me shifted. I didn't argue, but I started planning. I'd been the easy kid my whole life. That's what my mom used to tell people with a proud little smile, like it was a compliment. "Adam never needed much," she'd say. "He's so independent." Translation: Adam can be ignored without consequences. Claire was the opposite. Claire was sensitive. Claire was special. Claire was full of potential. Claire cried when she didn't get her way, and my parents treated it like weather. An unavoidable force. Something you plan around. When I was 13, I wanted to try out for a travel baseball team. Not because I thought I'd be a pro, just because I wanted something that was mine. The fees were a few $100s. My dad shook his head. "We don't have it," he said. "Besides, you've got school. Focus on something practical." 2 months later, Claire decided she wanted a horse riding summer camp. My mom made it happen. I remember standing in the driveway watching my parents load Claire's bags into the trunk. New boots. New helmet. Everything shiny. My mom noticed me watching and said, "Don't give that look. Claire needs confidence." I learned the rule early. Her needs were character building. Mine were optional. At 16, I worked part-time at a tire shop after school. Grease under my nails, cold hands, tired eyes. I saved for my own first car. Claire got hers as a surprise. A used convertible with a cute little bow. My dad clapped me on the back when I stared at it. "You understand," he said. "You're not the type who cares about that stuff." I didn't even know what that stuff meant. I just nodded. When I got accepted into the police academy, my dad said, "Are you sure?" Like I had announced I wanted to join a circus. When Claire switched majors for the 3rd time, my parents acted like she was on a spiritual journey. When I bought my first small house, nothing fancy but clean, my mom's only comment was, "Make sure you don't get in over your head." When Claire moved into a downtown apartment she couldn't afford, my parents helped her get settled. Helped meaning paid. I didn't resent Claire at first. I resented the way my parents looked at her like she was always about to break, and looked at me like I was already assembled. Even after I married Maya, the pattern didn't change. We had Noah, then Ellie, and suddenly my parents had grandchildren, but not the kind they wanted. Claire didn't have kids. She had time. She had brunch. She had vacations. She had the freedom to be charming in short bursts. My kids were kids. They asked questions. They laughed loudly. Noah lined up his toy cars by color. Ellie danced in grocery store aisles. My mom called it a lot. My dad called it undisciplined. And still, I kept showing up. Because part of me, some stubborn, stupid part, kept thinking if I stayed steady long enough, they'd finally see me. The Europe trip was supposed to be a peace offering. That's how it started. My dad brought it up one Sunday after church like it was casual. "Your mother's always wanted to see Italy," he said. My mom sighed like she'd been carrying the dream for decades. "It's probably too late now," she said, dramatic as ever. Claire jumped in immediately. "We should do it," she said. "A big family trip." Like other families, I remember Maya raising her eyebrows at me, just slightly. "Don't!" But then my dad looked at me with that familiar expectation. "You've been doing well," he said. "Good benefits. Stable job. Maybe you could help make it happen." Help. That word. In my family, help always meant pay. And because I was tired, and because I wanted something normal, and because I wanted my kids to run through a European courtyard and feel like they belonged to something bigger, I said yes. I didn't even realize I was buying my own exclusion until the moment Noah asked, "Are we not family?" The next day, my phone started buzzing like a hornet trapped in glass. My mom first, then my dad, then Claire. I didn't answer, not because I was trying to punish them, because I needed silence to think. At work, I drove my route and watched the city go by through a windshield that suddenly felt too clean, like everything had sharp edges. I kept hearing my dad's voice. "You're just different." It wasn't just about the trip. It was about my kids, about the way my parents had been labeling them since they were toddlers. Ellie was too much. Noah was odd. My dad had said it once at Thanksgiving when Noah was 5 and asked why Grandpa never smiled in photos. "Kids wired wrong," my dad muttered. Like Noah couldn't hear. He could. He'd gone quiet for an hour after that. Just sat on the stairs, holding his dinosaur, watching the adults like they were a foreign language. Maya had wanted to leave then. I'd asked her to give it time. I'd said, "They'll come around." That was my mistake, because my parents didn't come around. They closed in. My mom texted that afternoon like nothing happened. "We need to talk. You embarrassed us." Embarrassed. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "We didn't mean to hurt Noah." Just embarrassed. Claire posted an Instagram story that night. A photo of a passport on a table with a glass of wine. Caption, "Family magic loading. No mention of my kids. No mention of me." Just a soft-filtered lie. My dad left a voicemail, voice hard. "Call me back. You don't make decisions like this without discussing it." That money was already allocated. Allocated. Like my paycheck was a family fund they managed. That was the moment I realized something simple. They didn't see me as a son. They saw me as infrastructure, a reliable bridge they could drive over as long as it held. And the second the bridge said no, they called it dramatic. I wasn't angry. I was just done. So I took the first small step I should have taken years ago. I stopped answering. No Sunday dinner. No just checking in call. No quick apology to smooth things over. And then, 2 days later, my mom sent the message that sealed it. "Your father is devastated. We did nothing wrong. You're being sensitive." Sensitive! About my kids being excluded from something I paid for. About my son being told he was different like it was a diagnosis. That was the moment I stopped wanting an apology and started wanting distance. Being a cop doesn't make you a lawyer. But it does teach you something that applies everywhere. Document everything. People lie. Screenshots don't. I started collecting receipts the way I used to collect case notes. Quietly, methodically, without emotion. First, the booking confirmations. Flights. Trains. The all-inclusive package my mom had been bragging about like she personally negotiated it. Every email reminder, every invoice, every payment authorization. All in my name, my card, my address, my signature. Then, the messages. My mom's kids aren't invited. My dad's voicemail, Claire's story, screenshot. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it because I'd spent too many years being told I was imagining things. I needed proof for my own sanity. And then there was the villa, the part my parents didn't know. 2 years earlier, I'd bought a small property in southern France through an LLC. It wasn't a mansion, it was a stone villa outside a tourist town, something I treated like a long-term investment and a future escape. I didn't tell my parents because they treated information like a tool. If they knew, they would have used it. They would have invited themselves. So I kept it quiet. When my mom demanded a villa like the movies for Europe, I'd offered mine, cheap, smart, practical. I framed it like I was getting a deal. They never asked how. They never asked whose name was on the deed. They just assumed it was theirs to enjoy. In the booking confirmation, under the host details, the owner field reminded me of something that made my mouth go dry with clarity. The reservation could be revoked by the property owner at any time. So I made one call, not to my parents, to the management company. I verified the confirmation number. I verified my ownership. I told them I was revoking the booking. They didn't ask why. They didn't care. They just said, understood, the way professionals do when money speaks clearly. Then I drafted one email, short, clean, unemotional, to the travel agency that had bundled the package. Subject, cancellation request. Immediate. No explanation. No debate. Just action. And because I'm a police officer, I'm used to doing hard things without theatrics. I didn't want them to suffer. I wanted them to stop treating my kids like they were less than human. I wanted the control to end. I wanted truth on my side. One more step. I set boundaries in writing. Maya and I wrote a simple message together. We will not attend events where our children are excluded or insulted. We will not discuss this by phone. If you want to communicate, do it in writing. It wasn't dramatic. It was a line in the sand. The next time I saw them was at my aunt's birthday dinner. Neutral territory. Big table, enough witnesses to keep everyone polite. My parents showed up dressed like they were heading to the airport. My mom wore a scarf that screamed, Europe. My dad had that smug vacation glow again. Claire arrived last. Of course, like an entrance was part of her personality. When I walked in with Maya and the kids, my mom's smile froze for a second. Then she leaned down to Ellie and said, too bright. Hi, sweetheart. Ellie hid behind Maya's leg. Noah didn't look at her. He sat next to me and folded his hands like he was bracing for something. Dinner started normal. Too normal. That's how my family did cruelty, wrapped in normal. My dad talked about Rome like he'd already been elected mayor. Claire talked about the vibe. My mom told my aunt loudly, we're doing Europe as a family. He didn't react, but I saw the way his shoulders tightened. Halfway through the meal, my dad finally leaned toward me, voice low. You ready to apologize? He asked. I took a sip of water. No, I said. He blinked like he wasn't used to hearing that word from me. My mom jumped in. Adam, you overreacted, she hissed. You can't just cancel. I can, I said calm. Claire laughed once. Sharp. You're seriously still doing this? She said. Over a misunderstanding? A misunderstanding. Maya repeated, voice quiet and dangerous. My dad's jaw worked. Then he said louder, for the table to hear, so what, you're holding money over our heads now? I set my fork down gently, and I pulled out my phone. Not like a threat, like a fact. I opened the email from the property manager. I turned the screen so my dad could see the words clearly. Reservation revoked. Access code disabled. Check-in denied. My dad stared. My mom's face drained a shade. Claire's smile vanished completely. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult them. I just finished the sentence I'd started in that group chat. You got my screenshot. I said, so you know the travel package is canceled. That part's done. I held up one finger. Not aggressive, just a boundary. And the villa, I continued, isn't the villa you're staying at. It's mine. You can check your booking confirmation if you want. It has the owner details. It always did. My aunt's fork paused midair. Across the table, someone inhaled sharply. My mom's hands shook just enough to rattle her bracelet against her glass. My dad's voice came out thin. You wouldn't, he said. I looked at him, steady. I already did, I said. I'm not asking. I'm informing you. Claire stared at me like she'd never seen my face before. You're ruining everything, she whispered. I nodded once. Good, I said quietly. Because the everything you built required my kids being less. My dad's eyes flashed. After all we've done for you, I didn't let him finish. Name one thing, I said. Silence hit the table like a dropped plate. My dad's throat worked. My mom's lips trembled, but no words came out. Because in that moment, the truth was too heavy to lift. Maya stood. She put a hand on Noah's shoulder. Noah rose without being asked. Ellie grabbed her fox and slid off her chair. I stood last. I'm not angry, I said, looking at them both. I'm just done funding disrespect. Then I turned and walked out with my family. No slammed doors. No shouting. Just footsteps on tile. And the feeling, strange and clean, of finally leaving a room I'd been shrinking inside for years. 6 months later, our Sundays looked different. No forced dinners. No tight smiles. No why are you being distant. Texts that pretended history didn't happen. We made pancakes in our own kitchen. Noah built Lego cities on the living room rug and narrated entire storylines like a tiny director. Ellie rode her bike in slow circles on the driveway, singing to herself. Maya started humming again, something I hadn't realized she'd stopped doing around my parents. One afternoon, my phone buzzed. A message from my mom. We need to talk. Your father misses you. We can move forward. Move forward. No apology. No mention of Noah. No mention of different. Just the same old expectation. Step back into your role. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed one reply. We can talk when you're ready to apologize to Noah and Ellie by name. Until then, we're not available. I sent it. I didn't block her. I didn't rage. I just held the line. A week later, my aunt called and said quietly, I didn't know about how they talk to your kids. I'm sorry. That was the first adult in my family who ever said sorry without being forced. It mattered more than I expected. The last time I saw my parents was at a grocery store parking lot. My dad walked past us like we were strangers. My mom stared at Ellie like she wanted to reach out, but she didn't. Noah didn't flinch. He just took my hand. And as we walked to our car, he said casual, like it was something he'd finally decided. Dad? Yeah, buddy. I think family is who stays. I opened the door for him, felt the winter air rush in, smelled the clean scent of our own life. Yeah, I said. That's exactly it. At the beginning, there was an empty seat at my parents' table. Now there wasn't, because we built our own table, and nobody needed permission to sit at it. Adam didn't win by humiliating anyone. He won by protecting his kids and refusing to bankroll disrespect. The quiet power move wasn't the cancellation, it was the boundary. You don't get access to me if you don't respect my children. Money and resources can be control tools, but they can also be leveraged for fairness when used legally and calmly. What would you have done in his place?